Hey guys, welcome back to Project Bodybuilding and welcome back to my Road to the 2024 Mr. Olympia series. Today I have a three-way comparison for you. A lot of fans are assuming that the top 5 to 6 is a foregone conclusion for the biggest names, but that couldn't be further from the truth. There are so many wild cards and newcomers to the show that no one is safe, and I do mean no one. I feel like everyone still does have the same top 5 in one way, shape, or form. Nick is in there, Hottie, of course Derek, Samson, and Andrew, but there are a lot of guys just barely on the outside that have a shot to be that 6th guy, maybe even a little higher. Today I'm going to compare 3 guys that I think have the best chance of cracking the top 6. We have your actual 6th place from last year, Hunter Labrada. Then we're going to compare him to 2 newcomers. Rafael Brandao has had a good year so far and hopes to end it with a bang at his 2nd Mr. Olympia. Last time he was there, he was 10th, but he has drastically improved, so he's looking to shake it up. And then we have an even greener newcomer, my father, Martin Fitzwater. He took his first pro win earlier this year, then took runner-up to Nick Walker at the New York Pro, and is hoping to cement his status as a new top threat by making a big splash at the big dance. Now, are these all the guys that have top 6 potential? No. If Beirut Tabani was to get his visa, he'll definitely be in the mix. Brandon Curry will also probably be in the mix, but I have no idea what he's going to look like, so I can't compare him here. And maybe there are actually some guys in the top 5 that will actually be more competitive with the lower spots, including 6th, instead of being more competitive with the very top spots. This second call-out area, this battle for these 8th or higher spots will be exciting, not just the top 2 or 3. So let's try to nail down more of this lineup. The first call-out in the top 5 is being talked about a lot, but let's talk about the battle for top 6. Here is Martin versus Hunter versus Rafael. Remember, if you guys like these types of videos, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more. As you can see, we have a fairly diverse lineup in terms of the physiques we have here today, and that's going to make this Olympia so exciting. You have mass monsters, guys that are really tall that bring the shape factor, some in between. It's going to be great. First up here in the front double, this is a shape pose, and yeah, Rafael is taking this one. I have him taking this shot easily. He has good arms, the second best next to Hunter, great lats and a small waist for a good upper body taper, and great quads too to round out the bottom of the physique. With that shape and with all the body parts being there, I have him taking this one pretty easily, so he will rank first on the scorecard. In these multi-way comparisons, scoring is done via ranking. If I think a guy gets 3rd place in a pose, I mark him down as such and he gets 3 points. And it's 2 points for 2nd, 1 point for 1st. Then after adding up all the points at the end, the lowest score wins. So Rafael takes a 1 point win here because he's 1st. Now for 2nd, this is interesting. Hunter should be winning this one. He's bigger than Martin, both in terms of structure and mass, but he suffers with some flaws and overall, I just don't like the pose. He also has the handicap of his photos. His pics are from the Pro Muscle Italy from earlier this summer, and the lighting sucked and it made his separation look awful. And if you saw his last update, you know that this is definitely not the version of Hunter we will be getting. So we're just going to have to roll with this version in these pics and just take it for what it is. But as of right now, I have Martin winning over Hunter. He has the better legs and lines, but besides that, he doesn't have the weird midsection like Hunter. Hunter's issue is not the structure, it's not the mass, it's not even the body parts, it's the hernia issue and some protrusion in the sternum. Hunter has the best arms up there, clearly beating Martin, who is very underwhelming here. And he is just bigger, but by Martin not having flaws, I prefer him. If you can get over those flaws, then Hunter is probably 2nd, but I just don't like the midsection. I don't like how he's crunching down on it either. Not a very good posing choice in my opinion, so Hunter has to take last here. Even though I really like Martin, he definitely doesn't place 2nd because he's winning per se. It's more because Hunter is losing. The front lat spread is another shape pose, and with that, another win for Rafael. I'm going to kind of gloss over him yet again, not because he's bad, but because it's so clear. This front lat spread is great. Again, he has terrific quads, lats, and most importantly, the overall lines. The waist is small and that allows him to carve out a great X-frame with none of the issues that the other two have. Now let's jump down to 3rd because that's as easy to determine as 1st. Martin takes the last place here because this is how he was hitting the pose. He wasn't opening up, and that's a shame because this is a great pose for him when he does. He's talked about this before though, he's going to hit the shot along with a few others a lot better at the Olympia after you heard the feedback from the 2 shows this year. But as of right now, this puts Hunter in 2nd by default. I don't like the pose, but he's hitting it. His lats aren't the best in general, but from the front, they're okay, I guess. Fairly high inserting though. I also don't like his pecs, they're very flat. But since he elongates his torso, he gets rid of his main weakness, that being the weird midsection phenomenon. So he was never going to take 1st in this one, but since Martin dropped the ball, at least he can take 2nd. Alright, now that we've got those 2 shape forward poses out of the way, this comparison gets a shakeup. We have 2 great side chest poses here and Hunter. Hunter really isn't that bad, the photo and the lighting suck, but where are the pecs exactly? You can't win without the pecs. Unfortunately, that makes him the default loser of this pose. But Rafael and Martin bring some fresh looking poses, they're really close actually. In the side leg, Rafael is massive but looks to be holding a slight film of water. Martin has the much more crisp leg and deeper separation between muscles. And even though Rafael is bigger, Martin is in no way small. He has great quad height and hamstring drop, he's just operating with a smaller frame. Then moving up to the midsection, they're both keeping it locked in, and they both have nice serratus and oblique detail. Then in the arm and delt, it's really close. They have similar size, but Martin is on a smaller frame, which helps him look more impressive. But Rafael is just bringing a little more detail in the delt. This is really just a tie. But in the pecs, I would give Martin the win by just a hair. His far pec sticks out a bit more, and overall, he's a bit more detailed and hard throughout the chest. Now overall, while Martin did win the most important body parts on quality mainly, Rafael is still huge. He carries a lot of size now, and he's taller than Martin, and on stage this may be even more noticeable. With that in mind, this is really a toss-up. Martin has the better body parts and better quality, but Rafael has pretty good body parts too and is overall much bigger. Take your pick. For my winner, I'm going with Martin. I think he's big enough pound for pound to blunt Rafael's win in overall size and have his own quality just barely pull him over the finish line. Again though, on stage this could be a different story, especially if Rafael's just a touch more conditioned. We've reached the halfway point of this comparison, but now we're entering the back poses, and yet again, these guys get shaken up. Rafael has been doing well so far. He's always been good in the front poses, and now that he's added the size, he held up well in that side chest. But the back is still his weak link. For one, he has the softest lower body up here. Again, it looks like he's holding a little water. The other two are bringing much sharper glutes and hams, so Rafael is definitely the weakest up here. He's also the weakest in the back. He has good width and good insertions, but he needs more time building up that thickness, and he needs those details to be a bit more etched in. I think some better conditioning would solve a good chunk of the major problems in this pose, but as it stands, his back is flat and lacks detail. The lower body is also a touch too murky, so Rafael is taking his first third place finish. Next, we have another tough top two here between Martin and Hunter. Let's again start with the lower body. Hunter is solid, but Martin just has one of the best lower bodies out there right now. And a lot of that has to do with his dominance from the rear. The glutes are striated, he has the quad sweeps, and some of the best hamstrings out there. There aren't many people beating Martin in the lower body, and Hunter isn't one of them. But as for the upper body, I have this flipped. Martin is solid for sure, he has good thickness and mass at this stage in his career, but that wild conditioning from the front and in the lower body doesn't translate upstairs. Look at the arm and delt separation in the back detail. He has that thicker skin look. He doesn't sport that saran wrapped look like he was from the front or again in the lower body. Hunter does. Through the arms and delts, he just has more separation between muscles, and the delts are just packed with striations. He takes both the shoulders and arms with that detail. Now in terms of the back, he's not the strongest. I definitely don't like his lats. He's leaning back a lot to bring out more detail and to shorten his torso to hide them, and it just doesn't really work for me. But that upper back alone takes care of Martin. There's just so much more detail and overall condition here, and really throughout the entire back and upper body. If Martin can get his back a little more crisp, he can take this, but Hunter is schooling him right now in these important detail aspects. This is pretty close though, because they traded off the upper and lower portions of the physique, but as goes the back, so goes the pose, so Hunter will take his first win. Moving on to the second back pose, we have more of a level playing field. So while he gets close to the rest because this pose is about width, I still gotta put Rafael in third. The lower body is still not winnable against either of his opponents because lower body conditioning for Rafael is a struggle. Now the back is wide and he has the wide structure to begin with, but the back looks a little flimsy. Still though, he's pretty close to his closest competition, Hunter Labrada. Hunter doesn't have the best lats, we've gone over that, but what won him the pose was the detail. Now this is a real trust me bro moment, but this photo is robbing Hunter blind, both of the lower body and upper body detail. Upper body detail especially. I think even based on this photo, we can agree that Hunter wins the lower body anyway, but the back looks way worse than it actually was here. But trust me, he was plenty wide, but the most important thing, he was much more detailed top to bottom. However, Martin takes every good aspect being displayed between both guys and combines them. He looks to be just as wide as Rafa and has great thickness too. The detail could definitely be a little more etched in, but still Martin has that grainy look and the traps and erectors are so big you can see them anyway. And the lower body is absolutely no question. Martin is better than both guys combined. Again, he has one of the best lower bodies out there at the moment. Top to bottom, Martin is the clear winner. Now we're finishing up on the side poses and taking a look at the side tricep. Immediately, Hunter sticks out to me. I just compared Hunter versus Nick on my channel, and while Hunter didn't win this pose, he was a very close second. And really, those two guys are the two best in the world. By that logic, Hunter should be a shoe-in for first, and I suppose he kinda is, but Rafael gets my attention too. Once again, he's massive. He'll outsize Martin in this shot, and with his height, against Hunter, he'll be very close. What I really like about Rafael though is the streamlined look. The big side leg and the full pecs with that small waist in the middle give Brandao a nice half hourglass look. But yet again, he is let down by his quality. Hunter's side leg is a bit drier, but it's smaller, so they're close here. Hunter also has the sharper midsection. Now that doesn't mean better, because his abs and lower stomach still leave some to be desired, but the midsection looks the best here out of any pose so far. It's locked in, and again, a bit more dry compared to Rafa. But moving up a little more, one area Hunter definitely loses is the pecs. Again, they're just really flat, and Rafael has a ton of thickness up here. But finally, in the tricep, Hunter can breathe a sigh of relief, because he's definitely taking this. He's carrying double the size of Rafa, and again, Hunter has superb detail, complete with some great striations in that horseshoe. So overall, Hunter pulls this off and takes the win because of the better tricep and the better quality, but Hunter is pretty close, which is a great sign for him. Again, Hunter's at least second best in the world in the shot, but Rafa thrives on having the size and the streamlined pose. This is going to be hard for most guys to overcome, and Hunter doesn't do it by a whole lot. In fact, Martin doesn't overcome the shot at all. Martin won the last shot, but this time the namesake of the pose isn't that good, and the posing leaves a little to be desired. He still probably beats Rafa in the tricep and does in the side leg once again, but Rafael is just too much. I like his pose more. Again, he has the size and the streamlined waistline. Again, Martin's pecs are flat here, and he could pose the midsection better. This is still pretty close, but between these two huge but streamlined guys, I have Martin in a close third. Second to last here, we have the easiest pose to determine of this entire comparison. The abs and thighs is simultaneously mid to a bad shot for Rafa and Hunter, while being absolutely killer for Martin. Rafael is just so meh. The quads are good because he has great separation and size, but the abs are pretty mid. Hunter has seen better days for this one, let's just say that. The photo is probably robbing him of some of that extra quad separation. Usually they're thick and wildly separated, but even if he won the quads, he ain't sniffing first with that midsection. The abs are just a mess, but I've been pointing this stuff out in a few shots now. His problems are more than apparent, so I really rest my case. With those flaws though, he's not even getting second. As mid as Rafa is, at least he doesn't actively suffer with those major flaws. This means first is basically a default win for Martin, as long as he's not awful. But it's not just a default win, he more than earns it with this great pose. His quads are thick and conditioned, the upstairs taper is good, and the abs really pop out at you and are very separated. Like for Hunter, I don't really think I need to go on, but this time it's because it's so clear that Martin is taking this one. It's a great shot and a very weak lineup. And now we have the final pose, the most muscular. I tried to keep the variations the same, but for Rafa and Martin, their best variation is the crab shot, and Hunter doesn't hit a crab pose. So I just put what I felt was his best variation up here. I don't think it really helped though. I just miss a lot of the quality aspects from Hunter and some of the wow factor. Now his wow factor is largely going to come from him actually being on stage next to these guys. Hunter can definitely make some guys look small because he carries a lot of mass on a pretty large frame. So on a real stage, he can definitely do a lot more than in pictures. But still, this is just not exactly what I want from him, just on his own. He looks big here, but I want the quality. Compare quads to quads, chest to chest, you'll see Hunter is missing these crucial details. The lighting has something to do with this, I'm sure, but going by what I see, he's actually getting last here, which I did not expect. But with Rafael packing on more size and Martin being pretty filled in too, both of them having much better detail, they're just less muscular Hunters, but with better details. So yes, Hunter is going to end this comparison in third. Now between Brandao and Martin, I really think this is a coin toss, and it's probably going to favor Rafael on a real stage, but right now the edge is with Martin. On a real stage, Rafael is going to look big, and his height will be a key advantage. But here we don't get to see the full scope of these guys really, so Martin can thrive on his details. Both of these guys' quads are ripped, but Martin wins the midsection with those great abs, and he has more chest detail. Rafael's a little thicker in the pecs though, and the arms and delts are pretty close. So yes, it's a coin toss. But like I said, Martin takes it at the moment just because based on what I see, those few details win him the pose. Ask me tomorrow and this probably changes, and on a real stage, I can definitely see this changing. For now though, Martin is going to take this final pose and finish this three-way on top. Disclaimer, I know Mark's Max Muscle did a video similar to this where he used Andrew versus Martin and Hunter. And I haven't watched it, but that's where this idea did come from. But go and watch his video as well. With the inspiration from that video, I thought this was a great excuse to visit these guys one last time. Because for these three gentlemen, there are no more comparisons for them. This is their final one before the big dance. I also have another disclaimer. I know I said this is a battle for top 6, but now that Nick Walker has dropped out, I do think these guys get bumped up as well. So this is actually now a battle for the top 5. This happened during production of this video, so I said top 6 in the intro, but now it's a battle for top 5. The stakes have in fact been raised. And if this is any indication about how things will go, it's going to be very, very close. No one ran away with it, and before I show you the scores, let me add yet another disclaimer. I believe anything can happen between these three. All of them have reasons to place ahead of each other, but anyway, here's the scorecard. Martin took 4 poses and the lowest score of 14 points, so he technically won on paper. Rafael won 2 poses and was 2 points behind with 16 points, and Hunter also won 2 poses but scored 18 points. Basically, if you switched around any of the margins on the poses, this entire outcome would have been changed. So is there really a winner here? Well, I think if you want to try and be objective, and this is my personal answer, go figure, I would go with Martin. He's not as big as Hunter or Rafael, but he's more complete with less flaws. He had much better conditioning than Rafael, a better back, and also pretty good shape. And keep in mind, if he can actually pose the front lat spread better, Martin would be ahead by even more. And against Hunter, this particular version of Hunter, I'd have Martin winning simply for the fact that Martin doesn't have those midsection issues, like the protruding sternum and lower stomach. However, if you guys have seen updates from these guys, they're all bringing bringing better versions of what we use today. Hunter is deploying a vacuum and is going to be in even better condition. Rafael is getting bigger and I expect him to be in much better shape as well. And Martin was already show ready 30 days out and he'll be a few pounds up as well. And Martin was already show ready 30 days out and he will be a few pounds up too. So I do have Martin winning this comparison. He's the most complete, he has the best back overall probably, that's close though, and he doesn't have the issues that plague Hunter or the conditioning issue that Rafael suffered with. So yes, between these three versions of these three competitors, I'd have Martin taking this and keep the other placings intact. Rafael gets the dub over Hunter even with the conditioning issue because those flaws on Hunter. I actually did a mock scorecard just to be sure, and just based on my initial thoughts, here's I'd have Brandao winning over Hunter. So for this comparison, the on-paper results have my full endorsement. As for who I'll be predicting to place higher, I haven't even made my full choice yet. All of them, especially with their improvements, have arguments to beat the other two. Tyler Mannion is in love with Rafael. After the Arnold, he said Rafael had no weak points and Tyler was just gushing. Hunter has always enjoyed some high placings since his Olympia debut. He hasn't been out of the top 8 and was even 4th one year, controversially. The judges just seem to like Hunter and he has the size and structure and is pretty complete now. And if his flaws can take a back seat, like if he's pulling a vacuum, he can let the size and structure do the talking. So overall, who am I betting on in my predictions? This is so tough. I have to make the decision soon, but I have to be honest, the safe decision is probably Hunter, just based off of past placings and historical precedent. I think the safest bet after that is Rafael, which means Martin is actually the least safe bet. But I just think about how Tyler literally creamed at the side of Rafael, and based on the updates, Rafael got even bigger. And yes, I understand Martin was my winner today, but the judges don't look at this the way I do, to put it simply. Being tall and having shape in spades matters a lot to them. I think if this is judged fairly though, and as a bodybuilding contest, Martin and Hunter lead the pack, with Martin at the front actually. Martin has the shape with the better body parts and better conditioning than Rafael. And Hunter beats Rafael in bodybuilding things too, but he has flaws. I won't give you my final predictions as of right now, but here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking Hunter in first out of this group, Rafael in second, and Martin in third. And this is so close that these guys are going to need to peak 100% and be so on. If Hunter is like he was in Italy, the judges will move him back. And Rafael cannot have the same conditioning as the Arnold. Those are my predictions as of right now. However, I don't really think that's how it should go, especially the versions we use today are similar to what we get on stage. In that case, I'd have it flipped. Hunter in last, Rafael in second, and Martin in first. Martin is the most complete, most balanced guy while having great conditioning and no flaws. He is my winner today, but I'm way too uncertain about everyone to make concrete predictions at the moment. Well, that's going to do it for today's video. I personally had Martin winning this comparison. Can he keep this lead at the Olympia? I think so. Can these other guys creep up? I think so too. And we didn't even discuss the Brandon Curry factor and who knows what he's going to look like. He could take this 5th place spot and push all these other guys back for a top 6 fight. He can also be somewhere like 8th. So let me know in the comments what you guys think about this comparison and how you predict these guys to rank by the end of the next weekend. And if you guys like this video and want to see more, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. And if you guys want to support the channel and are in need of some high quality supplements, be sure to head over to Arms Race Nutrition. Then to check out, use my code Project10 for 10% off your entire order. That's code Project10 at armsracenutrition.com. And finally, with all that said, I'm going to thank you guys for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.
Gotta get that Lexia.